Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. So I've sprayed myself up with some mosquito spray and the sun's out, and I'm hoping to take you on a quick tour of the garden. I probably won't be too slow because I definitely need to keep ahead of the mosquitoes, but there's a lot of things that are changing and I just want to show you around and point out some of the things that are flourishing. So if you're enjoying my channel so far, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, even hit that notification bell to get notified anytime a new video comes out. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 5B in mid-Michigan. Alright, let's go for a walk in the oasis. Come with me. So my Liatris are looking amazing, you guys. I am loving watching all of the bees and the pollinators as they just go to town to their heart's content, eating all of the nectar from these plants. It's so fun to watch. These incredible hydrangeas are doing awesome. I am super happy with them. And while they do still look a little bit floppy and a little bit sparse, they are definitely happy in their place. And I want to show you a lot of new growth on the stems where new leaves are coming out. So that's going to help make these look much more full and lush. So I'm happy about that as well. My butterfly bushes here have not started blooming yet, but the buds are definitely getting bigger. We've finally gotten some sunshine, and I think it's just going to take a lot more before they're going to actually really bloom for me. My two concrete urns here, I think they've turned out really well. They're super lush, very full and abundant, and I love the look of the salvia in the middle with the bacopa and the patoka, and even that sun patience on the side. Isn't that gorgeous? Everything in this spot is just looking really nice. As you can see, my hydrangeas are really starting to bloom. So it's quite impressive to see. I absolutely love how it's starting to put a wall of foliage and flowers behind the fountain, and that's my goal. So as this hydrangea over here gets larger, it'll be sort of a semicircle around the fountain, and I just think that's going to look awesome. My roses right here in front, these are the Oscar Peterson variety, and they are starting to put on some nice fresh growth and some new buds. And the same with the all the rage roses that are behind each of those. And I really like the dark green foliage of the all the rage roses in comparison to the lighter green of the Oscar Peterson. And you can see my alliums are starting to bloom. I'm so excited to see what those look like in full bloom, because I've got them kind of sprinkled throughout this garden here. And the daylilies look so pretty right now. I'm just loving how full and big and colorful they are in this area. And I have my Cleopatra coneflowers on either side of this hydrangea, and I just think it's a really pretty combination, especially with the Verbena bonariensis behind it and that Bordeaux Supertunia. Look at that color combination. Gorgeous. My Weigela here is starting to put out a few new blooms. They do rebloom oftentimes throughout the summer. Not as well as they do early in the year, but it's just nice to have anything that does rebloom. You'll see my hydrangea over here is starting to bloom as well. And I want to show you this Bellflower campanula that I have It's kind of rare. I'm gonna try to find the name of it for you. But isn't that gorgeous how it hangs down and the color of it? It's probably about 1.5 inches. And here's another little cluster of them. And here's what it looks like as a balloon before it opens. Unfortunately, the rabbits came in and ate off the tops of quite a few of them, or I would have a lot more to show for it. So I've had to get out my liquid fence again. The pink diamond just keeps blooming. And I've begun tucking some of the sedum that I got on clearance and taking cuttings from it and just kind of tucking it in between plants here to use as a bit of a ground cover. And then I want to take a look behind this hydrangea and just show you this Yuki cherry blossom deutzia that's behind it. It's incredibly healthy and looking great. And that was the one that was in a dumpster when I went to the plant store. And look at this. This quickfire hydrangea is starting to turn colors, and it's putting on some really strong new shoots right now. My Mr. Goodbud sedum down here is looking good. And this is where I planted that new lime thyme Coleus that I got. And you can see I have a couple of the coneflowers here. These are part of the Cheyenne mix. I really like this color. Not so happy with this one. Probably actually going to give that one away. But if I can get this one to reseed itself, yes, that will make me very happy. And another gorgeous hydrangea here. And then I tucked some of these heucheras in a few different places here as I made room for the new clearance plants that I got. So here's one of the new Georgia peach coral bells, and I was able to split that one into two. And I have another one back here. And then I took the Delta Dawn heucheras and I put them back here. They're doing well. And I split that one in half. And I was able to also split this Delta Dawn in half. So there's one back here and one over here. And that's going to, I think, help to fill in this area as I try to continue to control this ground elder, also known as bishop's weed, from coming back into this area. So whenever I see a small piece of it coming up, I pull it just to continue to weaken the roots. But I think this area is really starting to look nice, and I'm looking forward to when it really fills in up over the fence and becomes more green than just the stain color. All of the heucheras that I divided and transplanted in this area and kind of scattered about are doing really well. They've all perked up. So they look a little bit sparse, but that's because I divided them, and they will continue to grow on during the rest of the summer. And I've taken my Eden Rose, which is in the back, and it is putting on some blooms at the top over here. But I'm starting to spread it horizontally so that it will put out more blooms, because as a climbing rose, if you put the stems out horizontally, they start to put out more bloom buds. Everything's just really putting on the growth since all of this rainfall that we had. It's been pretty intense. And this Woodula right here is still very small, I was worried that it wouldn't actually make it this year. It kind of only had a couple of leaves left after the winter, but it definitely seems to be happy now. And then I have some daylilies here too. These are the Rainbow Rhythm, I think it's called Sound of My Heart. And then a chiffon, lavender chiffon Rose of Sharon here. And I have some more of those Sound of My Heart daylilies here that haven't bloomed yet. But just look how they open. They have these curly edges. Kind of reminds me of Seymour from, I don't know if you remember that plant from the movie. And then down here I have a plant that I brought back from Wisconsin. This is called Sapenaria Officinalis, and it is soapwort. So that's pretty. I'm just kind of looking at my yard from a distance here. You can see how the garden is really full at this time. I divided some of my curly fries hosta right here in front, and they seem to be really happy. And then all of this carex that is around the edge of these rocks is still doing well since dividing it. So I'm happy with the way this bed is looking. I continue to put other hostas and such in here. It has been so wet, you guys. Here's a snail I'm gonna pick right off my hosta. That is not normal in my area. Soon I will take you into the way back and show you the garden that I have in the way back. You may be able to see some of the Liatris poking up back there. This is where I chose to plant my Aurelia Sun King. So I think it just kind of pops out in that part of the garden and goes well with the hostas and that Coneflower grass in the back. And the petunias in this bed over here are really getting quite prolific. I have some more blooms of the dianthus that are starting to pop up. And I put a couple of my oak leaf hydrangeas in. I'm not sure if this one's going to stay in this spot or not, but this is where I have it for now. This will get fairly large, but because it's up against a fence, I believe that way it will grow towards me. And I think that will look really pretty. And then I have plans to move this hosta and this hosta and take these out because they're kind of filler plants. But that's for later. That's just kind of long term. We'll see how the oak leaf hydrangea does first. And then this is where I have my other one, thinking that will grow up and kind of drape over this stump and provide a really nice foil to this garden swing bench. And I have some heucheras down here that I divided as well. All of this rain is making my ferns get really tall and put out quite a bit of new growth. Just kind of looking back on this area. It's looking really pretty with the lobelia along this edge here. And I want to show you the planters here with the elephant ears, the coffee cup. This tropical garden at the end of the pool has really gotten great. I mean, it's really filled out. Even these eggplants that are here have beautiful flowers on them, and it's just gorgeous. I really like the way that those planters turned out. And my high voltage roses are putting on blooms now. These were also clearance plants that I got just a few weeks ago, you guys, and I put them in the ground and they're really beautiful. They're kind of a buttery yellow that fades to a creamy white. Lots and lots of buds happening. And these hibiscus. When are my evening rose hibiscus going to bloom? I can't wait. And the daylilies in this bed are doing really well also, and I think they really complement the roses in terms of kind of the glowing color of them. Just beautiful. Oh my gosh, these banana trees. I'm so glad I planted them in the ground. Now my sunflowers are probably about 8 feet tall at this point. I don't know, 7 feet, 8 feet. I am very interested to see what the flowers end up looking like on them. And my dahlias, you guys, this is exciting. Look at my dahlias. They are getting some really strong stalks and putting on some gorgeous blooms for me. And the new buds are right at the top of the foliage instead of being inside, so it's going to make it even more easy to see the blooms. And I'm hoping that these are really nice strong stems. My shade hanging baskets over here are looking good. Obviously they both look a little bit different because one gets more sun than the other, but I don't really mind that. And so that's okay by me. They do have the same plants in them, but one of them, the Coleus, is getting bigger, and one of them, the impatiens, are getting bigger. And then my baby Incredible hydrangea that's tucked in there is doing well. You can see both of these lungworts that I divided, the pulmonaria, they have a ton of new growth coming out of the center of them. So probably in a couple of weeks they will have really regrown and we'll start to cover that area better. Now these Hydrangea Arborescens over here, they definitely flopped a bit with the rain, but now they've put on some sturdier stems, and I think they're going to put on some more blooms at the top of those as well. But they're gorgeous. I love those blooms. They're so white and creamy. And then also over here, complementing this Hydrangea Arborescens, which is still pretty new. I got it really at the end of the year last year on clearance, and it was just a teeny tiny stalk, so I'm impressed by the bloom this year. But look at those gorgeous daylilies behind it, and they smell so good. This area is starting to look a little bit better. I did come in here and plant some of this ajuga. It's called Burgundy Glow. I think I've called it tricolor in the past because it does have 3 colors, and that's the easiest way for me to remember. But the official name is Burgundy Glow. And the Autumn Jubilee 9-bark, look at the colors on the new foliage. So pretty. My phlox are also, my opening act phlox are putting out some new growth. And isn't this coneflower interesting? This coneflower has lighter colored blooms than some of the others. It's very interesting to see how they change over time, because when you look at that one and then you look at the one over here, this one is a deeper color. And they all seem to be much more in that deep color. But they do change a little bit from time to time. And my Pinky Winky hydrangea is starting to bloom, but it's starting from the back and moving forward. So probably in the next few days or within the next week, I'll be getting some really pretty blooms out of that as well. And my lady is just hiding now. Everything's so tall, you can hardly see her face back there. behind all of the sedum, but she's still there. And my 9 bark is looking good that I planted just last week. Maybe it was a week and a half ago. Not that great with time, guys. Here's my pink mink. Still putting out some new buds. And this bed, holy cow, look at that Coneflower clump. You guys, if you bought something like that in the nursery, it would probably cost you $100. Not even joking. Just a small tiny clump of it costs like $15. I'm so excited because that means this fall, when things start to cool down, sorry, my air conditioning just came on, so I apologize. But when things cool down this fall, that means I'm going to be able to get some more divisions out of it and transplant it into some other places in my yard. So excited for that. Now over here, I know it doesn't look all that exciting, but it's going to get better and better over time as these bushes fill in. My low grow sumac that's right here and right here has put on some nice new growth. So it's starting to grow above the lily of the valley, and that's exciting to me because that lily of the valley I don't really care for. It just kind of covers the ground and doesn't do a whole lot for me. I know some people love it, and I'm sorry if you do, then wonderful for you. I would give you as much of it as you wanted. Interestingly enough, my blue shadow Fothergilla here has not bloomed yet this year, and I don't know if it's just late in doing so or if it's not going to this year. So we will see. It's definitely putting on a lot of new growth still, a lot of new leaves in the front. So I wouldn't put it past it to still have some blooms coming. Now you just saw my video, hopefully you saw it, on me planting underneath this autumn blaze maple. I did just add a couple other clearance plants that are in here. I found 5 Paint the Town Magenta Dianthus, and so I've tucked those in between each one of the bedazzled hostas. So that's going to add a little bit more bloom power even to it. You can see right after I planted these though that the deer came through and had some bites of my hostas. So as I said, I got out the liquid spents and have sprayed. I'm really happy with the way this front bed looks right now. This front shade bed is so easy to maintain. I do need to come in here and trim back the hosta flowers. The deer obviously started to take the tops off of all of them for me, but I need to take them all the way back down to the ground. So I'll be doing that soon. It was nice to get the rain after I divided and, or sort of transplanted and clumped together these so that the hostas would settle into their new location well. But everything's just doing really well. I still have yet to come out though and prune this boxwood. I've got to get to that, you guys. And I've got to put a little bit more mulch around the base because the top of the base, you can see the roots. So that's not good. But yeah, it's looking nice up here. My front baskets here have really fizzled out, so I'm going to take a couple more of those bedazzled hostas, put them in those 2 baskets, and then I have a heuchera that I want to put into this one. So I think that will help make it look a little better. It just, it looks really bad right now, you guys. Sorry. It's a busy time in the garden, and with lots of new expectations around getting back into different activities that used to be restricted. So You may notice that I put my 2 lava lamp heucheras in here, and I wanted to do that because I thought it would give a nice weight to the garden and also really help to tie in those 2 orange rocket barberries, and I think it did a nice job of that, because before they were really the only color that was in this bed, and I really needed some different foliage and I needed it to be larger leaves. So I'm super excited about the way that looks and how that turned out. I still have yet to get any blooms on my oak leaf hydrangea here though, guys. It bloomed a little last year, so I am expecting it to bloom again this year. And my drumstick alliums, they're doing really well. They last quite a bit of time and they are so cheap. So I highly recommend trying them out if you've got a little space for them in your garden. Why not? You do need to cut the seed heads off though if you don't want them to seed around. Aren't those Liatris spectacular with the coneflowers in the background? Oh, I think they're so pretty right now. So pretty. And everything's growing really well up under this weeping cherry. I have mums in here and Patriot hosta and painted ferns and even some coneflowers back in there as well. So those are going to be blooming soon. I haven't seen a lot of annuals on sale or on clearance at my stores nearby, so there's a lot of kind of empty space where I normally would fill in with some sale or clearance annuals, but I guess that's just the way it's going to be this year. So I'm going to give you a look as if you were coming in from the street at what this bed looks like. It's nice and long. Okay, I want to show you where I planted the Angelina Sedum. They are right here, and I planted them on either side of the juniper, and I think they give a really nice contrast, and it's going to be nice to see that kind of filling in. They definitely are loving being in the ground. I can tell already. Some Angelonia blooming here. And my gorgeous, this is Mystic Spires salvia. What a great annual. And I'm getting some blooms again out of my Maynite salvia. They're just getting ready to put out a second flush of blooms. This penstemon just keeps going here, and you can see the pollinators really like that as well. It's so pretty. And surprise, you guys, I got a clearance tree. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to put it in right here. I'm going to put it in the middle of that circle, in the middle of the peonies. It is a weeping crabapple. I'll tell you more about that in another video. But here's this garden bed just chock full of all of the purple echinacea your heart could desire, and also some salvia. Salvia is starting to rebloom again. I think it would be even stronger blooming if we hadn't have gotten this crazy rain. And I think more of this salvia that's along here is going to rebloom again as well. And then I just have a ton of mums that are in here that are actually putting on buds already. It's hard for me to think about mums right now, but they're obviously thinking about what they need to do next. And then look at the Liatris Hedge. This is just about full glory, like maybe a few more days, and then it will be the most in bloom that it can be before it starts to fade away. But it definitely lasts for several weeks. and the color is just magnificent. They do have it in white as well, but I prefer this color. It's incredibly tough, hardy plant. It looks nice against some of my neighbor's plants as well. My PG Standard is starting to turn color, but it's gorgeous too. Hydrangeas are such a long-lasting flower. And then along the base here I have some calibrachoas. Just kind of lining the path. The bottom of the ferns. My burning bush right here that I chopped off because it was blocking the window is starting to come back. And everything's still looking nice and healthy that I've planted in this area. I have to figure out something back here. I'm thinking maybe some more hostas and heucheras because it is definitely a dry shade area. Kind of part shade actually. And over here, this hydrangea is looking gorgeous too. Oh my goodness. And the beautiful impatiens beneath it. I'm just loving it. And the betony is still blooming. So thanks for joining me on this garden tour. It's been great walking through the garden with you. I really enjoy it. I enjoy your comments and I like reading them. So look forward to seeing what you have to say about today's tour. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.